Imagine a forest so twisted that even its trees refuse to grow straight. A forest where people vanish, where voices giggle on the wind, and where a perfect circle of grass sits like an ancient burn mark on the earth. Some call it the Bermuda Triangle of Transylvania. Others simply call it cursed. Welcome, dear readers of the Ledger, to Hoia-Baciu, where the woods are alive, but not with the sound of music. Our story begins just outside Cluj-Napoca, Transylvania's unofficial capital. Gothic spires, medieval streets, Dracula souvenirs aplenty. But venture northwest, and you hit 700 acres of something much older, much stranger. Archaeologists unearthed Neolithic settlements here dating back to 6,500 BC, complete with tombs and homes. Locals have always whispered about the place. Shepherds avoided it. Villagers warned children away from its twisting canopy. The name itself, Hoia-Baciu, comes from a tale of a shepherd who led 200 sheep into the trees and never came out again. One man, 200 sheep, zero return. Math doesn't get darker than that. Legend says a shepherd marched into the trees with 200 sheep and no one ever saw them again. Not one woolly body, not one echo of a bleat, just silence. The forest swallowed them whole. Villagers claimed they could still hear the faint toll of sheep bells in the wind, and some crossed themselves before even glancing at the tree line. Children were warned that to wander near the Hoia shepherd's forest was to risk becoming another whisper. Over time, the forest became a cautionary tale, a living moor where both people and their stories vanished. And yet, the forest doesn't just eat sheep. It eats time itself. The most famous legend begins innocently enough. A 5-year-old girl wanders into the forest. Search parties scour the woods, but she's gone for 5 years. Then one day she walks back out. Same clothes, same ribbons in her hair. No scratches, no memory of where she'd been. For her, only an afternoon had passed. This is not an isolated glitch. Hikers have vanished for hours, days, even weeks, only to reappear dazed, convinced they were gone mere minutes. Others aren't so lucky. Some return as corpses, their deaths ruled suicides, a grim homecoming gift from the forest. And if lost time isn't enough to spook you, wait until you see the forest's centerpiece. Step deep into Hoia-Baciu and you'll stumble into the Poiana Rotunda, the Round Meadow, which is a bald patch in the middle of the forest that refuses to grow trees. Perfect circle, no canopy, just emptiness. Botanists scratched their heads, but locals knew better. They said it was the devil's ballroom, or a witch's gathering place, or worse, the final resting ground for the forest's victims. Visitors report walking into the circle and feeling the air grow heavier, the silence sharpen, as if they've just stepped onto a stage and someone, or something, is watching from the trees. It's unsettling because it's so precise, so absurdly geometric, like nature accidentally revealed a secret. Imagine a crop circle, but one carved into the earth centuries ago, and it never healed. An almost perfect circle where nothing grows but stubborn grass, no shrubs, no trees. Botanists tested the soil, nothing unusual, tried replanting trees, they withered, and yet the clearing has remained unchanged for at least 200 years. Some claim it's a UFO landing pad. Others say it's where the massacred settlers of prehistory were left to rot. Locals, they just call it wrong. The meadow looks empty enough, but step inside and it feels like the forest is staring back. In the 1950s, biologist Alexandru Sift started visiting the forest. He wasn't ghost hunting, he was just curious about the weird trees. Instead, he found shadows following him. He photographed them, and when the film developed, he saw things he hadn't seen with his eyes. Strange forms, glowing shapes, silhouettes of people who weren't there. Sift became obsessed, amassing 25,000 photographs before his death in 1993. Many vanished mysteriously after a break-in, because of course they did. But the story that made the forest infamous came in 1968. Military technician Emil Barnea picnicked in the clearing when a metallic disc appeared overhead, silent, spinning, then gone in a blink. He snapped clear photos, so clear they made it past communist censorship and into international papers. Experts deemed them authentic. The Romanian government deemed Barnea unemployed. He lost his job, his photos, and allegedly faced pressure from the secret police. And while the skies above Hoia-Baciu drew the world's attention, the ground itself was far from quiet. Visitors described the forest as alive with sound. Disembodied giggling, ambulance sirens, even ticking clocks echo between the trunks. One physicist recounted a group photo where everyone's faces appeared warped, stretched, as though wearing 2 or 3 heads. Others tell of footsteps in snow that simply stop mid-stride, as if the walker was vacuumed into nothingness. And then there's the forest's favorite party trick, conjuring strangers. Travelers report meeting an old man with piercing blue eyes, limping through the woods, asking the way to Cluj. They give him directions, only for him to vanish before reaching the clearing. A driver once slammed his brakes, convinced he'd hit an old woman in the road. No body, no damage, just the memory of her face. If the living are unsettling here, the dead, or whatever pretends to be them, are worse. Professor Adrian Patrutz, SIFT's successor, calls them bioforms, apparitions that mimic people, animals, even fragments of faces hanging mid-air. Researchers spotted animals extinct in Romania, a busted bird, even a leopard, appearing and vanishing. Campers see ghostly lights hovering in the trees, sometimes rising into the sky, sometimes blinking out as if watching them. One man claimed the trees themselves transfixed him until a woman's scream tore through the silence. His friends heard nothing. The forest decides who gets the show. By now, you're probably wondering, is there any explanation? Or is this just Transylvania doing Transylvania things? Patrutz believes the forest's power might be scientific, not supernatural. Maybe infrasound, low frequencies that trigger dread, nausea, hallucinations. Maybe radiation, maybe both. Skeptics say it's mass hysteria, folklore feeding itself. But none of that explains the photos, the scratches on people's arms, the ruins were seen once and never again, the clearing that refuses to grow. And perhaps that's why Hoia-Baciu isn't just a forest, it's a stage. Today, the forest attracts everyone: paranormal tourists, ghost hunters, Wiccans, Satanists, yoga teachers, and skeptics alike. Some come out disappointed, no ghosts, no UFOs. Others come out with burns, missing time, or stories they'll never forget. And still, the meadow waits, silent, circular, patient. So what do you think? Is Hoia-Baciu a gateway between worlds, a graveyard of forgotten souls, or just an elaborate practical joke played by Mother Nature herself? If you've got any theories, drop them in the comments. Also, don't forget to subscribe to keep your name inked in the Waxenvein Ledger, where history isn't written in stone, but in shadows. Until next time, don't wander too far into the trees. You might not come back.